I'm Spencer with 425 Consulting, and today we're going to be discussing how to set up an analysis view. So what is an analysis view? Well, in Business Central, we have a tool that allows us to take a deep dive into financial reporting or into our ledger entries and be able to slice that down by our dimensions or any other filter settings that we'd really like to set up to have that preset view already enabled. So how do we set up an analysis view? Well, the easiest way to do this is going to be to simply go to your search bar, search for an analysis view. Once we do that, it takes us to our analysis view page. And from here, we can select the plus new button, which allows us to create a new analysis view. This is going to take us into the analysis view card where we can set up all of the information pertinent to the view we want, as well as setting up whatever dimensions or other settings we'd like in order to create this view. As you can see, I've pre-filled out a handful of settings, so let's go through what those actually mean. First off is our code. Our code is what Business Central is going to use to tag this analysis view and utilize it in other pieces. The name is something descriptive enough for you to understand what exactly this is for. Our account source, this is where we can select what kind of account we're reading the information from, as well as our account filter is going to allow us to decide what accounts we're going to use. In this case, I've set it up so that we are actually only going to be using the income statement lines, which allows us to apply this to our income statement financial report. Next, we have our date compression. This allows us to take any pieces of information, any entries that we have within Business Central, and group those together. So if I were to set this by day, then what would happen is all entries on each day would be grouped together, but otherwise they would be broken apart. We have plenty of options to allow how we want those groupings to happen. I find that monthly, quarterly, or yearly is the most effective, as it doesn't require dozens and dozens of clicks just to view entries within a single month. Moving on from there, we include budgets. This allows us to apply a budget to any financial report and have this analysis view take that into account. We have our starting date. This is important because when we populate this analysis view, what's going to happen is that it is only going to populate back as far as we set our starting date. So in this case, I set it back to the beginning of 2024, which would allow us to get a historical view of this data up to a year ago. And finally, we have our dimensions. In this case, we can set up to 4 dimensions, and this allows us to filter and sort on those dimensions within this analysis view. It really gives us a nice deep look at what this information is and be able to sort and group it by those dimensions in order to get that really valuable pull of information. The next piece is something pretty short, but it's pretty important here, which is when we set this up, as you can see right now, we have last entry number, last budget entry number. Right now, they're both showing 0, which means this analysis view is not populated. There is no information in this view. In order to do so, we can do this in a couple of ways. Either we can simply select the update button, which would allow this to view everything from the time in our date range to when we hit update. The other option is we can select update on posting. What's going to happen if we select update on posting is anytime an entry is added to one of these accounts that this analysis view is looking at, the whole analysis view is going to update and refresh and bring that information in. If this is something you're looking at, you only want a specific view of data and you don't want it real time, you don't want it to have that constant flow, you'd want to leave it where you are not updating on posting. Though if you want to have that real time look, you would want to select update on posting. In order to do so, we simply select the button. It's going to ask us if we do this, do we want to continue? It's just giving us some information. From here, we would hit yes. Enabling again gives us another warning. We hit yes, it updates, and now you can see we have last entry number filled out. In this case, I have not created a budget yet, which will cause this last budget entry number to stay as 0. But had I set up a budget for these accounts, we would then see that populate as well in order to get that information. The final piece I want to discuss is we have a filter option here. This filter option is something that I don't typically use, as I like to be able to filter it on the reports themselves. But if for some reason, let's say I wanted to create this analysis view, but I had specific departments that I never wanted to see, I could actually come in here, and in this case I said departments, so we select that. Now what I can do is I can select what filters or what departments I want to filter on in this view. Again, this is a more specific touch. I like to keep it general because then when I go into the reports itself, I have access to all of the departments or whatever dimension I'm using in order to filter on. This concludes our video on setting up an analysis view. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.